Just waiting for our sign to get started. So why don't we show the players to you? This is Grafton here. On the right-hand side, Jordan. And get this round number 7 underway.
Absolutely. There's a few interesting tech cards that both players are playing. Jordan is using the Pokémon Center Lady, which really can help out, helping mitigate the damage that he'll receive from things like bursting a balloon, as well as those shadow stitchings and moonlight slashes that I'm sure is going to be used by Grafton a lot, because when Garbodor's in play, and we see straight away Jordan is going first with that Trubbish. That's going to be absolutely brilliant for him. Grafton as well has got a great start with that Talonflame. So both players up to a good start here. We know that Jordan has the tech card Pokemon Center Lady, which is definitely going to help out. So it's going to be, you know, an interesting battle here. It's normally a close matchup, in my opinion.
It is, and if Jordan would not be playing Garbodor, it's even, well, I would say Grafton would be the favorite, but Garbodor is going to be the the VIP in this case. Very important Pokemon for Jordan. He's going to try and find it as soon as he can. Well, usually he has 2 to 3 turns to get it out, because Greninja Break wouldn't make a showing before that. So he's going to take his time in this case, but he needs a Float Stone very soon just to make sure that he can move it out of the active space and start putting some pressure on that active Talonflame. Sure,
so we do see Jordan, he does go ahead and get that Yveltal EX down, and we're going to see him also get his first attachment for the turn as well as a tool, and he does have that VS Seeker in his hand, but he's choosing not to use it right now. He's got the Parallel City, maybe he wants to hold on for that if possible, because he's pretty much done everything he really needs to do this turn, and he's clutching onto that Garbodor, and getting that out is of course one of the keys to winning this Greninja matchup.
Have you seen what he discarded with the Ultra Ball there?
I didn't quite catch it. I believe there's a Professor Sycamore in his discard pile, so I think he's pretty good to go here. This is actually a really, really nice start for him. Gets the Garbodor, the second Yveltal EX. He's choosing to limit the damage output of the Greninja player's side. Oftentimes, Parallel City is good both ways you play it. Grafton's only got 1 Froakie down right now, so the duplicates isn't mitigated too much. But if potentially, sometimes we see Greninja players look to get double Froakie turn 1, and that's where potentially the Parallel could have been more dangerous the other way around. Jordan carries on here. He has the Max Elixir. Looks like he doesn't get it. That's a little bit unlucky, especially because Talonflame's the Pokemon in the active for Grafton. This is one of the main reasons you play Talonflame, because its HP is simply more than a Froakie, right? So you actually can tank hits, and sometimes you go down less prizes than perhaps you would as the Greninja player, as long as you just have Froakies. So pretty good stuff for Grafton. Jordan's not done too badly either. He has his attachment for turn, which is going to be a basic Dark, and he's going to start off with that Evil Ball.
Oh, it's just a brilliant start for Jordan here, and as you can see, Garbodor is online with Garbotoxin, and it was a good thing that he did not decide to discard it with Professor Sycamore. When he was running through his deck with the Ultra Ball, he noticed one of his Garbodors was prized, as well as 2 more double colorless energy. This might be important later on in the game, so he hung on to it, and now he evolved it, and he hopes, of course, he can make sure that it stays throughout the game. As Grafton is going to use another Ultra Ball, it looks like, getting out a Froakie.
Yeah, it looks like the typical turn 1 for Greninja. One thing that we do realise from Grafton is that he has prized one of the Frogadiers. It's a common issue with the Greninja deck that, especially because Grafton's not playing anything like Rare Candy, he's limited to the amount of basically Frogadier he has to use all of his attackers. So a small speed bump for Grafton. He's also drawn into a Frogadier, which is an issue as well. So far from ideal for him right now. He got the good starter, still whiffing on energy right now.
And no energy.
Yeah, pretty awkward for him. We are going to see the Dive Ball though.
What's he going to look for here
I'm
now?
not sure what he's really looking for. Maybe this is to initiate Jordan to maybe look to use an N. Maybe he bluffs something here, gets himself a Greninja out. I think you may as well at this point, because it's not like he needs anything like Frogadier. And really, it is a bait play, I think, here. What he's trying to do is he's trying to make Jordan see that he has good cards in his hand. He's happy to use the Dive Ball proactively, and maybe this initiates an N, which could actually really help him out. But for now, Grafton looks like he's pretty much done for his turn.
He needs that energy badly and get some damage going on that active Yveltal EX, but well, Jordan looks a little bit surprised, but he takes it certainly.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's just one of those things where your opponent doesn't have the typical turn 2 play from Greninja, and you can see on Grafton's face he's really not too happy about it. Jordan's going to carry on and just take the first prize here on the Talonflame. One thing you always have to worry about against a Greninja player is you have to pretty much expect from the first knockout of the game that you're going to get hit with things like Ace Trainer or N. And straight away we're seeing Grafton, he is going to go for that VS Seeker, and he does indeed play the Ace Trainer here.
Indeed, because Greninja is just so slow, it can make use of that Ace Trainer so well. It usually goes behind in prize cards, it doesn't really mind that. The graphic is wrong here. In this case, Jordan is drawing already a 1 prize card, so Grafton can actually play this Ace Trainer, drawing 6 cards and Jordan free.
Absolutely. And we see Grafton, he does have a Bursting Balloon in hand. He finally gets himself an energy card, which is helpful. It looks like because he's already prized one of his Frogadier, he's opting to just say, you know what, I want to go aggro aggressively with my Greninja straight away. Going to go for the Moonlight Slash, putting 80 damage onto Jordan's active Pokemon. Oh, just the 60, I should say, because of the Parallel City, of course, cancelling that out. The Bursting Balloon is only a 2 of in Grafton's list. Something he's favouring over that is playing 3 Max Potion. So the interaction between these two players' decks, especially because they're slightly unorthodox in some cases, Pokemon Center Lady is becoming more and more common after the Fort Wayne lists. But 3 Max Potion is very, very rare for the Greninja player. A brilliant Lysander from Jordan here. He's helping avoid the Bursting Balloon damage whilst also dealing with the only other Pokemon on Grafton's board. So this is spiraling out of Grafton's control already. We see him try and stabilize with an N though.
Well, we have seen this theme before. If a player has a very strong board position, he can use his supporter slot for a Lysander in this case. He doesn't need to draw extra cards because Jordan has everything he needs for now. This Yveltal EX is not being threatened to be knocked out anytime soon. He has another one as a backup on the bench. So he's happy to use that Lysander and avoid the 60 damage here.
It looks like he's got a pretty decent hand as well. He got himself Max Elixir Energy to attach for turn, and he's just picked up a Professor Sycamore as well. So everything going pretty nicely for Jordan here, as we do see him play that Ultra Ball straight away.
Playing the Ultra Ball, let's do the math here real quick. So there's 3 energy attached to it. He's doing already 100 damage. So, well, that's 90 damage with Evil Ball, that is. So if he finds another double colorless energy, doesn't...
I think he is going to be digging here. First of all, we do see the Max Elixir. Ultra Ball helping him thin out that 1 card before using the Max Elixir to try and increase his odds. And he does indeed hit the Max Elixir towards the end there. So that's a brilliant pickup for him. And he has that Professor Sycamore to try and dig for a big 7 cards here.
Let's see it. There's 1 prized. There should be 2 left in the deck.
And this could be over very quickly. We are going to see.
There's a Shaman.
Looks like he doesn't
Keep
get
on
it.
digging.
Okay. I mean, I still think he's in a really good board position right now. Grafton, he had the awkward prize. He's had a Frogadier targeted very early on. Potentially even I could have seen the Bursting Balloon go on to that Frogadier because it was clearly going to be the target for Jordan. But it's really just being punished here. That's a lot of pressure going on to the Greninja. I don't see many ways he can recover here. Do bear in mind though, Grafton has lots of max potions, so hopefully he can mitigate that down the line.
Yeah, and Jordan can of course not keep on digging with that Shaman. There's Garbodor, but Greninja is almost knocked out here, so Grafton needs another answer. He needs to find another Froakie right now out of these 6 cards, or maybe a Dive Ball. Otherwise, this game 1 is going to be over very, very fast.
I mean, we could see the Break Evolution, we could see Max Potion. These are all outs for him to keep healthy for a few turns. And additionally, he does have he does need to find more bench Pokemon for the long game. He can't just rely on this 1 Greninja throughout. We are just going to see the Moonlight Slash here, putting another 60 on. And there's the double colorless. And that's a very early first win for Jordan. And unfortunately, even though Grafton's been on a roll, he's on 5-1-0 currently in his record. Greninja just has these games sometimes. Even when you play things like Talonflame, you just can't get going sometimes with this deck.
Yeah, you can see it here on his face. He's like, now I'm on stream for the one time when this is exactly the time when Greninja lets me down. Really, really, Greninja, what have I done?
Absolutely. It's going to be a real pressure situation for him right now. The only glimmer of hope, really, is that he lost so quickly. And Greninja, it takes a lot of time to win games, right? So the only thing good about this early loss is that it was early, and he has time to take a game 2 and potentially even go to a game 3 where he could again try and do well and get, at least a tie or even a win. So Grafton's by no means out of this game. He's going to get to go first here. Let's see if he starts with the Talonflame. It's always a big deal. Looks like straight away we do see a mulligan from him. as Jordan has got to be feeling confident. I mean, everything went right for him there. He started with the Trubbish, he went turn 2 Garbodor with the Float Stone, taking knockouts from turn 3 onwards. Everything went well for him. So both players starting off with a few mulligans here. But what can really Grafton do this game that he wasn't doing in game 1?
Well, drawing energy for one would be something that I would do if I was him. Well, but now he needs he needs a basic energy, but that's kind of to be expected from a Greninja, right? Every deck that is playing Talonflame is going to give away mulligans quite often because it's trying to get that Talonflame as the active Pokemon. He's only playing 3 Froakie and 4 Talonflame, so he's more often starting with a Talonflame than with a Froakie. But to get to this point, he's going to have to mulligan quite often. And here we go, it's Talonflame, that's what he likes to see.
Absolutely.
And hopefully for him, he's also going to find some energy.
Yep, that's a really big deal. It looks like Jordan started with the Frightmare Yveltal, which is not the matchup where you really want to see it, especially because it has that ability, which really means it's going to be awkward to move out of the active position. So Grafton does start with the double Froakie, and all he needs to do is pass because he has the Ultra Ball for next turn as well as energy. So as long as Grafton does not get hit with an N, he's guaranteed himself the turn 2 Frogadier for water duplicates, and we can see from those prizes there's none in there this time.
Yeah, usually if you're the opponent and your opponent doesn't do anything except benching Pokemon, you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to play any N whatsoever at no cost. But in this case, with Greninja players, you never know, right? Their
Absolutely.
first turn always looks like this. There's nothing happening, nothing going on. They just want to wait until they can evolve.
Yeah, as awkward as it looks, that's actually the ideal start for a Greninja turn 1. So Jordan not quite as effective as his game 1. He's had to commit both Floatstone and double colorless energy to his active Pokemon, which is the Frightenite Yveltal. Not ideally the best attacker in this matchup. We see Jordan immediately go for the Parallel City, limiting the bench. It's what I mentioned in game 1, where if your opponent does put the double Froakie down, which is the typical play you'd normally look to do, maybe not always against the Yveltal, but Grafton trying to play safe here after losing the first game. He doesn't want to lose the second game very quickly to a crazy Max Elixir combo, so he puts the double Froakie down, and now he's going to be punished for it, needing to find a Stadium as well as the energy and the Frogadier to get an effective water duplicates off, not just a duplicates for 1 or 2 Frogadiers.
Here we can see that one of his Stadium cards is in his prize cards, indeed, that's Silent Lab. Let's have a look what else he is playing in terms of trainers.
Also 2 Faded Town, which is obviously not going to be amazing for this matchup, but as long as it can get rid of the Parallel City, it does the job for him right now. We actually see the attachment to the Talonflame, which is a surprising outcome for me. I think maybe he wants to get full value from the from the water duplicates when he does go for it, rather than do it just for a couple of targets and then that Frogadier then potentially getting knocked out itself. So instead we're going to see an Ultra Ball from Grafton, and we'll see what he wants to do here. He is still going to go for the Frogadier, which is, I think, pretty surprising for me. I don't mind the fact that he's got rid of a Talonflame and a Greninja Break. Obviously, you play a lot of search cards and recovery cards with the Superon and the Splash Energies and stuff, so I'm not too worried about the Greninja Break. Going into the discard pile, putting the Talonflame in the discard pile is very good for you, but I'm really surprised that he actually chose to evolve here and not go for the water duplicates. Instead, he's just gone for the Aero Blitz. I think almost definitely one of those cards will be a Stadium to bounce the opponent's one. So Jordan does get himself the turn 2 Garbodor once again. That's got to feel pretty good.
This and, of course, the N. Every time Talonflame is in play, you want to play those Ns. You're looking for 2 cards. Well, guess again. Here's an N. Try to find these again. Good luck with that. So Grafton was maybe thinking, okay, now that I was not going to be able to use my water duplicates to my full value, if it was 50-50, if he was going to attack with Aero Blitz or maybe with water duplicates, now it's going to be Aero Blitz for sure. But Jordan punishes him for this once again, using that N, and now Frightenite Yveltal is ready to attack.
And it looks like Jordan's got a pretty strong hand here. He's opting to just attach 1 energy to the active and just be content with the 60 damage onto the Talonflame, but it does look like, wow, that is a big turn from Grafton. He's just used his supporter for turn, which is the Team Flare Grunt, in combination with one of his 2 enhanced hammers that he plays, which is very, very strong. We do see him now attach to the Frogadier and continuing to use Aero Blitz to get himself out of this awkward early hand. It looks like the end didn't give him too much. And yeah, Jordan, he sat on a Max Elixir as well as a turn attachment, so it looks like he's going to be pretty good here to try and set up another attacker, because of course Garbodor now allowing that Floatstone to activate, so that's going to be pretty handy to him in the next turn.
Yeah, Grafton bought himself quite some time here with those two cards, Team Flagrant and also the Enhanced Hammer. Now Jordan has nothing really to attack with immediately. Yveltal EX coming down. He has a Max Elixir, so if he's lucky enough, he can find himself an energy card. I think there's another one in hand, so he could keep attacking and also maybe knocking out that Talonflame, but
ooh,
he
that's
doesn't get
a pretty awkward miss with the Max Elixir. I think that's quite a big one for Jordan, or it could have been at least, to keep trying to pressurize Grafton, because Greninja is most vulnerable in the early turns before they start getting into higher HP, start abusing all these really good abilities. You want to try and go very aggressive and race early on in the game to give them not enough time to win in the late game. Fortunately, Jordan does have the Garbodor at the very least, so he's not too worried about his damage that Grafton can come out with, at least in the next few turns, but it's one of those things that Grafton's going to obviously try and work on. Some people try and ignore the Garbodor and just try and win via moving between your free retreating Greninjas and using things like Max Potion, which I'm sure is going to be a factor in this game, as we do see him use water duplicates for the rest of his Frogadiers.
It took a couple of more turns than Grafton wanted it to, but he was able to slow Jordan down, so it's not too bad. He finally found an energy, and now water duplicates for Frogadier in play. That's what he wanted to see.
That's exactly what he wants, and you can see he was only ready to do that once he did find the Faded Town to bounce the Parallel City. Jordan does fortunately get himself the Professor Sycamore off the top, which is a pretty big deal, because now he's drawn into a fresh hand. He goes for another Max Elixir, and that's another fail for him. Doesn't feel great. He is playing the standard count of 9 Dark Energy. It looks like he has drawn into quite a few of them, though. All he needs really is to manually attach for turn to knock out this Frogadier, but everything matters because next turn Grafton's going to be evolving up, getting into more high HP Greninja. So we see another Max Elixir. This time it does get right on the money, and he gets himself a Dark Energy.
Now that's about time he thinks the first Max Elixir actually working out for him. I think he has another manual attachment in hand, and that's important because he needs to pile up those energy, making sure that he's still being able to one-hit KO the upcoming Greninja most likely. And, well, he needs plenty of energy for that, so Frogadier is going to be easy for him because it already had energy attached to him also. But now it's going to be very interesting on how Grafton can improve his board position here. I also see a Bursting Balloon, so it's going to be interesting if Jordan is going to be able to invest into Lysanders again, like he did in the last game, or if he's going to invest in more draw engines to make sure that he has something as a backup for the active Yveltal.
I think he's most likely going to be using the Professor Sycamore that we see in his hand. He's just debating which target to put the Bursting Balloon on. Alternatives is, I think he does have a VS Seeker also, so if he has some sort of disruption supporter like Ace Trainer, that could be the play. At the same time though, he does just kind of want to get as many Greninja out this turn as he can, so we do see the aggressive Professor Sycamore here. Seeing as though Jordan has the Yveltal EX already ready to go, doesn't feel like the Ace Trainer is doing too much here. We can see there's 2 Splash Energy in Grafton's hand now. These are cards that are becoming more and more popular in the Greninja list. We saw in the Fort Wayne top 8 that there was, I think, a 4 Splash Energy count. So those are becoming more staple in these lists, and looks like there's a little bit of confusion with the playmat.
Well, Grafton destroying our playmats here. That's our setup. Calm down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the good old triple Greninja round.
Putting the Faded Town in literally affects none of the board state at all. But I know we have to be a stickler for detail here. Looks like he does have the Dive Ball. Oh no, this is the search with the Talonflame, of course.
Yeah, he put his
Dive Ball
grave
for a Greninja, right?
Yeah, and the discard pile moved next to the Talonflame, but he's going to discard that Dive Ball hopefully soon. Yeah, there it is. And here we go, it's Lysander.
Absolutely, Lysander on that Greninja. We have another energy for the Yveltal EX, so that's 12, 13 exact maths with the Fighting Fury Belt to get the knockout. Jordan keeps marching on forward, knocking out a Greninja every turn. It's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, but now it gets tricky. If he's going to be able to find that Greninja break now, and it evolves, it's going to have 170 HP. Now that it just dealt 130 with 1 energy attached to the Greninja, well, that's going to be a lot tougher next turn, because if Greninja is going to not have any energy attached to it, Yveltal cannot have enough energy in the active spot to one-hit KO that, even if he would find another double colors energy. So very interesting to see now how Jordan is going to respond to Grafton's. Most likely, if he's going to use... Oh, does he still have the Dive Ball, though?
I think the Dive Ball was played last turn. We do see Grafton free retreat into his other Greninja, where that gets the Bursting Balloon as well as the Splash Energy. Again, it's one of these decisions where potentially the Bursting Balloon can go on his other Greninja, because he already has the Splash Energy, right? So he doesn't mind this one getting knocked out too much, whereas the Lysander seems a lot more painful. So he had the decision of, I'm going to hope to end my opponent so they don't get Lysander, or I'm going to cover both bases. And seems like Jordan got a pretty good handoff here, but wow, that is a double Greninja break off that end. That is huge for Grafton, and it pushes him way out of range from this Yveltal EX for now at least.
Well, I'm seeing a scheme here. We had 4 Frogadiers, 3 Greninjas, 2 Greninja break. If that continues, well, Grafton is going to be in a good shape, but he has to make sure that his flow of Greninjas keeps on going, because though they won't stay for long as Yveltal is kicking. But Jordan doesn't have much of a backup right now, so he can't keep on going or keep on investing into the active Yveltal EX unless he has double colors. Yeah, that's a one-hit KO again. He somehow manages to pick up those KOs. That's amazing. And don't forget about that Fighting Fury belt that's still attached to the Yveltal EX. That's big.
Yeah, so what I was saying about that bursting balloon, it was punished by Jordan. I mean, it's one of those things where if they don't get it off the 4 cards, it looks like a really good play. It puts them in a really catch-22 situation. But now, really nicely punished by Jordan. I think you're right in the fact that this is the only real attacker that Jordan has. Grafton looks like he's going to be okay to maybe deal with this. Maybe he needs a few turns from Bubble here. Maybe he's trying to set up some more Pokemon. Really, Grafton hasn't been able to take any use out of his max potions just yet because the Yveltal EX keeps taking knockouts. It's really just on a warpath right now. Grafton's struggling to get much going. That Fighting Fury belt changing a lot here, making it very awkward for the Greninja break to do anything really. Just the Giant Water Shuriken being shut off is such a big deal because that's the reason why you want to play Greninja, really.
But that's just amazing. Even if he used Moonlight Slash right now to the max, it's 80 damage. That will be 200 damage on the active Yveltal EX. It will hang on with just 10 HP. And if there's another energy attachment, but forget about everything I just said, Talonflame attacks.
Absolutely. I think Grafton's realizing that just one Greninja break is not going to be enough for this game. His deck size is actually really thin, and he only plays 1 Super Rod in his list as well. So I think he's limited to just this Greninja break that he's already got set up, and then there's one Greninja that's sat in his prizes that he's going to have to access to be able to attack with other Greninjas. So he's really, again, in a bit of a spot. I think this damage is really helpful from the Talonflame, especially because Jordan's board state is fully invested into the Yveltal EX. Once he's able to overcome this wall, potentially he can just start sweeping with the Greninja. So it's still really on a knife edge, this game, I think.
Yeah, but now Jordan is a little bit tough spot. He does not have access to Lysander anymore, so he picks up the Talonflame KO and uses Y-Cyclone to attach to, I think it was Fright Night Yveltal? Yes.
Yes. The Fright Night Yveltal is really not great at this point in the game. Grafton going to continue the barrage of ends, trying to force Jordan into a lower hand size to not have any outs. I actually feel like Grafton, as long as he can continue with Greninja, as long as the end sticks, I think he's actually in not the worst of positions for this game. So this is still going to go down pretty tight, and we see he now has max potions in his hand as well, so these could start coming in big. I think the comeback could even be on here. Greninja is very, very effective at coming back from really tight spots, because at this point now, it looks like Jordan has no real way to deal with it for a few turns at least.
No, he doesn't find himself another Yveltal. There's another Fright Night Yveltal in hand. I think he has a double colorless in hand as well, but what's it going to do him any good? I mean, if he's attaching, he's dealing 60 damage, which might be gone next turn. And what's gone for sure next turn is going to be the Fright Night Yveltal. It becomes active right now. So he decides against it, probably going to go maybe with Sky Return or no attack at all, because Shaman can take one attack, and then maybe with Sky Return he can recover it off. But forget about the double colorless. Maybe I'm just seeing things.
Yeah, the double colorless would have been quite nice, but that's not there. So the Shaman's just going to go into the active. It's the thing he wants to take the hit more than anything else on his board. But yeah, Grafton seems to be in a pretty good position. Look at that hand size as well. He's got literally everything he wants. I think he maybe wants to put the Splash Energy onto the Frogadier to be safe. But instead he just goes straight for the Moonlight Slash. Let's not waste time here. I've got to win 2 games. Let's get damage on that Shaman EX now.
Nice top deck on Jordan's side though. Professor Sycamore, maybe to save the day. He needs that right now. He's thinking about the attachment right now, and he does. And now 7 fresh cards. He needs another Yveltal EX. I'm not sure if he has access to another Max Elixir. The answer is yes.
Wow.
But he doesn't find himself the... Oh, he has an Ultra Ball, I believe.
I believe there's an Ultra Ball in there. So I'm not too sure on the attachment from the Shaman EX. But I think because he has that Max Elixir, he can be setting up for a few future turns. Getting the Enhanced Hammer's no small thing either. That could really help out. It depends really what he has in hand. He might have to discard it with the Ultra Ball, but looks like he's content to pass here. Maybe that's because he does have 1 Yveltal EX in his prize cards. He does play 3 though, so I think he should be able to have access to it. We are going to see a really fast turn again from Grafton. He's just going to deal with the Fright Knight Yveltal as Jordan is struggling to get anything going here.
And finally for Grafton, he was able to draw that Greninja out of his prize cards. We know there's a Frogadier waiting to evolve in it, so just in time delivery for him. And Jordan, well, now a very strong Shaman. He wishes he would be playing Ninja Boy, but he isn't.
Absolutely. Getting rid of that damage is no small thing, though. I still think that's a pretty good option for Jordan. He does have that Yveltal EX, which he's obviously going to search out now. Going for the Sky Return, putting a small prod of damage helps because it's going to be very difficult for a Yveltal EX to take a one-hit knockout. So this is going to be helpful, especially because Grafton does not play any Rough Seas, so that is going to add up. And there's nothing to say that Jordan can't just go for a Sky Return loop here and chip away at this Greninja.
Yeah, this is going to be very tough for Grafton now. 80 damage is just not enough. As long as Jordan has access to the double colorless energy, he just keep on Sky Returning, piling up that damage, and there's really nothing that Grafton can do right now.
It looks exactly like what Jordan is going to be going for. He's going to go for that Sky Return for 40, thanks to the Fighting Fury Belt. And Grafton, let's bear in mind, he has a very small deck size, so he's under the clock. Every one of these Sky Returns really do count, and we're going to see him use the N. I think he's running out of turns to win this game.
And the N is just here to make sure that maybe Shaman or double colorless energy or maybe both cards are going to be stuck in Jordan's deck. He won't have access to them. This means that the Sky Return loop would be off. That's what Grafton is looking for. But let's see what Jordan is drawing. Delinquent and Trainer Mail, well, something to work with, but not exactly what he was looking for.
It's going to be a pretty big Trainer's Mail, I feel, and also a very big top deck. It looks like Fighting Fury Belt. That's not too helpful right now, but he chooses to use the Trainer's Mail first. And
everything he was looking for.
That's a big...
but he can't take those cards.
He wanted all of those,
yeah,
but he just can't do it. Because Trainer's Mail is, of course, only item and supporter cards outside of Trainer's Mail itself. So Jordan's plan was great, but of course the end put a stop to that, and we do see the Delinquent. He may as well play it. There's no point in holding the hand because an Ultra Ball for a Shaman isn't quite, what he needs right now. We are going to see just a Moonlight Slash again. Now Grafton's suddenly at one prize card remaining, and Jordan has no board. This has been a completely amazing comeback.
And the top deck is a Lysander. That's not going to do him any good in the world of no retreat. Greninjas, that's it.
There's the 80 damage, just
one more card.
Let's see if Jordan can pull anything out here. He gets
Versus
a VS Seeker. A Versus Seeker for something like Professor Sycamore is probably what he's going to be looking for here. The float's done on the Garbodor, forcing Grafton to have one more VS Seeker for a Lysander. It's all in the balance. Both players are furiously checking their discard piles for the resources remaining here. Looks like both players are really down to the very bottoms of their decks and seeing what resources are left. And we do see Shaman double colorless, lots of double colorless energy, and Ultra Ball. I believe there's still Yveltal X in his deck. It's going to be pretty interesting to see what he can do here.
Unfortunately, Grafton is turning up his hand. He's showing him Versus Seeker. He knows there's nothing Jordan can do. This is a little bit, well, a little bit provocative,
yeah.
I'm going to say. But when I was noticing, this is by accident, Jordan was like, hey, your hand is turned up. And I'm like, yeah.
I even saw Grafton was showing that he had max potions as well. He's not played he's played one max potion in the last 2 games, and he just revealed that he played more than one. I'm not a huge fan of revealing extra information when you don't have to. It's also a bit of sports conduct, but at the same time, for Grafton, it finished the game, a minute quicker than it would have done because Jordan was still considering, what do I Ultra Ball, what am I discarding, these sorts of things. It's in Grafton's best interest to finish the game as quickly as possible, so revealing that VS Seeker saves precious time for him to maybe seal this game and go from 1 game down to 2-1 up and winning.
Yeah, and you can see that the judge and also Grafton are discussing this right now. I mean, well, we always want to keep sportsmanship at one of our top priorities here, and maybe this is what the judge is discussing right now. I mean, of course, we know what Grafton wanted to do, and we all want to move on to a quick game 3 if it's already decided. However, well, if your opponent doesn't know that exactly, we saw, of course, his cards in hand, but oh well, he's probably not going to do it again. Let's put it this way.
And wow, 3 for 3 on Talonflames, not bad at all. I wish I could be that skillful as a Greninja player.
That's how
starting
he rolls.
Talonflame every time. I mean, that's got to help him on his way to the 5-1 record that he's got and earned very nicely. And Jordan as well, he's going to kick off. Both players shuffled very quickly. They're very aware of the time right now. A draw is helpful for both of them because their records are so strong, but at the same time, a win is still premium here.
Yeah, we're turning our heads to see the prize cams. This time, good news for Grafton. There are not so many important cards in his prizes, no Greninjas. And on Jordan's side, which might be important, there's one Shaman and also one Yveltal EX. Another Trubbish there, so it really depends on how fast can he make sure that he gets that Trubbish and he has to hang on to it. The other one is prized.
Yeah, both games Jordan's been able to develop that Garbodor very, very quickly. So we're going to see him kick off with the Max Elixir. For Grafton, the only real worry is that there's a Super Rod in his prize cards, and he only plays one. Typically, we see two in Greninja builds, but Grafton just opting for the one with the high amount of splash energy to see him through. Jordan's going to crack on and go straight away for the Professor Sycamore. He'd rather just get rid of some of the dead cards and again go for the aggressive start. The way he won the first game so convincingly was just having a very powerful Yveltal EX and trying to get that Trubbish as quickly as possible. We see one more manual attachment for turn, and then it passes over to Grafton.
Yeah, you can see he even discarded Fright Knight Yveltal. He's not even bothering benching that. It's not going to do him any good, he says. Not even as a decoy, maybe for a couple of attacks from Grafton's side. He says, no, I'm going to power up my Yveltal EX, and if that's not going to do me any good, well, Fright Knight Yveltal is not going to help.
Yeah, so Grafton now, he's opting to use the N. Not too sure about that because he has the Aero Blitz that he can do this turn. So he could have sat on a really powerful hand, and he could have even put 40 damage straight away on the Yveltal EX. So it's interesting to see why he opted to N here. Obviously, of course, he could be drawing into the Frogadier and stuff now, so he doesn't have to search them out with Aero Blitz, and he can look for some other cards.
And this is what he does. I think there was one Frogadier in his hand, but he chooses to get... No, it's a Greninja, so one Frogadier with the Aero Blitz, and...
does he have energy in hand? I think
he did. Maybe Bursting Balloon might be coming in handy next turn.
I think Bursting Balloon Splash Energy is a really premium card because when you try and go for that water duplicates, oftentimes that's the Frogadier that instantly gets knocked out. So being able to Splash Energy and get that back and essentially not lose, sure you go down a prize, but you keep your resources. I'm surprised that he didn't go for that option. Instead he went for Silent Lab, I think.
Could be an N2.
Okay, we'll have to see what he got. But Splash Energy is something I would have liked to see because that really helps out in the long game, especially because there's only one Super Rod. Jordan, however, he's going on the rampage. He's getting plenty of Dark Energies onto this Yveltal EX. He's got the Fighting Fury Belt, Sycamore into Sycamore. Pretty good stuff. He's also got the Parallel City, which is going to be nice, and we know that Grafton does have the Counter Stadium, but for now at least, Jordan thinks he's in a pretty good spot here.
Yeah, Jordan was playing badly last game because he didn't hit even one Max Elixir. This time he's a little bit more skillful. He remembered, yeah, I'm a good player, so I'm going to hit those Max Elixirs. 4 energy attached to Yveltal EX. It's the second turn, and now he's going to one-hit KO for a couple of turns.
Absolutely. In comes the Froakie. We see the Silent Lab, the attachment, and the dream of a full water duplicates for 3 Frogadiers, which are in his deck currently.
Here we go. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. And now Jordan says, okay, just one by one, I'm going to knock them out. You know what's going to happen. He's going to attach to the active. There's nothing that can threaten him right now, but he's not going to attack. As I said, he's going to attach to the bench Pokemon. But what he really needs now is a Trubbish, because Greninja break is coming very soon. He needs to bench one of his Trubbish right now to make sure that Greninja is not going to be able to use Giant Water Shuriken once it comes out.
Absolutely, and he's having the debate whether or not to use the Professor Sycamore. He would quite like the Pokemon Sentinel in the discard pile, but also there's a lot of Dark Energy in his hand. So instead, he's opting to use the N here, get those Dark Energies back into the deck to try and get more Elixir value later on in the game.
Elixir value, I like it. So here we go, 5 cards for him. Ideally, one of them would be Trubbish. We know one of them is prized, so the chances are not that high, but Ultra Ball, that's good. Yeah,
Ultra Ball is pretty good. We see he's going to instantly play that, gets rid of the Enhanced Hammer, and we all know what he's going to be going for here. It's got to be the Trubbish, in my opinion, and straight away he does instantly put it onto the bench. Good stuff from Jordan.
Does he have a Float Stone in hand, though? I didn't see exactly. He has another Garbodor, but what was the other card?
I'm not sure what else is in the hand. It looks like it's a VS Seeker, yeah. So that's a pretty strong turn, and he is going to be taking another prize here on that Frogadier. Back over to the Grafton, we do see a brilliant turn. Everything you need. You've got the Splash Energy, the Bursting Balloon, the Greninja, and following up with the Versus Seeker. He has the option to, he could even bounce his own Silent Lab if he wants to, so that he just draws one less bad card from the end that he might be playing. Also considering if it's worth using a Lysander, maybe knock out the Trubbish, but instead he's saying, you know what, I'll just N instead. I'm pretty surprised by this. I'm surprised he's not opted to take the knockout on the Trubbish. I think that's a really good way to put Jordan on the back foot from then on. So That's an interesting play in my book.
Yeah, and also for Jordan now, if he's thinking about his investment for the supporter card next turn, he would have had to use something for draw engine because he was out of good cards in hand. But this time now, maybe if he was able to draw into a Lysander, then we could play around the Bursting Balloon again.
It's pretty awkward for Grafton. I'm sure he would have considered the Lysander. Maybe one of the reasons he didn't want to do it was so that he could get more Greninjas on the bench. But his end got him into basically exclusively water energy. So that is pretty awful for him. His gamble did not pay off. Jordan is now going to be able to pass it over to his turn. Straight away he finds that Garbodor, and that chance is gone for Grafton for good now. Obviously the Garbodor having 100 HP is always out of one hit KO range at least from the Greninja. And we are going to see the double color synergy, and that is pretty perfect. I think sometimes well-known players will high-five one another if they've played each other before for the no-hand Professor Sycamore, because you don't lose any resources.
And the Float Stone, there it is.
And the Float Stone, so absolutely everything here. A Max Elixir to boot, and that even hits.
Very skillful.
Great stuff from Jordan here. He's looking pretty good at this point. There is a lot of damage on the active Yveltal EX, and of course he did play Professor Sycamore, so he might be receiving an extra 60 from the Bursting Balloon that's on the active Greninja, so he is opting to just power through. May as well take these prizes, get rid of the resources. Grafton top decks into Max Potion, and he is not happy about this.
No, he's not. He's shaking his head in disgust, and now he's trying to buy some time with Lysander. There's nothing he can do, nothing that draws him new cards, nothing to get into Greninja. That's not a Greninja active, even though we're showing the graphic. This is a Frogadier, a lonely Frogadier, which is going to be knocked out right now.
And you can see the pressure and what it means to Grafton straight away, because he's just really... He's had a great day so far. He's 5-1, and the deck's just not cooperating with his plans. We're going to see the Froakie now.
Is it bubble time?
Active. It might well be bubble time. He does need to stall in one way or another. I think getting out this Greninja now with a dive ball is going to be a great start. Jordan looks pretty pleased. Another thing that Jordan does have in the background is that Pokemon Center Lady. Not only a great healing mechanism, but it gets rid of status conditions as well. So as long as Jordan has the VS Seeker, he should be able to reuse that even if there is the flip. And we are going to see it. It does get ahead, so Jordan set back a little bit here. We see the sleep, the paralysis, sorry. That should be to the right side, so we need to get that checked out.
But the Center Lady is a thing, so we might see it. Is it in hand, though? He attaches to the active, and no, he just passes.
The attachment and pass, so the bubble has bought one turn. It means Grafton's able to now go into the Break evolution.
And the Sycamore top deck.
Professor Sycamore. So potentially back into this game. I think really the fact that he didn't opt to go for the Garbodor, obviously hindsight's 2020. It's easy for us to see it up here when the end didn't draw what he wanted. But that was definitely a missed opportunity for me. We are going to see he did evolve into the Frogadier, potentially retreat this turn to get some damage in, and that is exactly what we're going to see. That's a lot of energy on the Yveltal EX now, though, so I think Jordan's still feeling pretty good at this point.
Yeah, let's do the math here real quick. So that's 6 energy, so that's 150 damage now with the Fighting Purebred. One more energy, and it's
there
gone.
We go. So
oh no, Grafton.
He's not too happy about this outcome. Jordan has got pretty much every answer to whatever Grafton's trying to do, and it's once again
crushing.
Down to the last Frogadier, and we know that Super Rod is prized. I don't think there's any way for Grafton to get any more Greninjas back into his deck. It's one Greninja versus the world right now.
Well, he's read about N winning game, so he might as well play it right now because he needs something that is going to win him his game. But actually, he doesn't really know what he's looking for right now because he has to find another basic Pokemon because he knows it's going to go down next turn. There's nothing he can do about this. The active Yveltal EX is going to get another attack in, and that's most likely going to be the winning blow.
Absolutely. We see he gets a few things here, but there's nothing really stopping that Yveltal. I think he has to Ultra Ball maybe for Froakie and go for Bubble. I think that's his only line of play here to survive, but I think Jordan's pretty much in the clear now.
It's not an option.
There's no energy in his hand either. I think that might be game over. Yeah. There we go. Grafton does have to concede, and Jordan will go 6-1 in round 7, overcoming the Greninja there. That was pretty soul-crushing. You could see what it meant to Grafton, how awkward it is, and unfortunately, when you're at the top tables, the pressure just mounts. It doesn't get any easier when you're up here.
That's just amazing. Congratulations to Jordan to winning this. So he has 6 wins now out of 7 matches, and in his head, Grafton is thinking about all the different things that were working against him in this match. Quite a few. Not finding energy when he needed to, finding all the energy when he didn't need to. well, sometimes it works just like that. Skill is not everything in the Pokemon trading card game, so he has to refocus again for the next round. He is still in it, so he still has to focus. He might still make it, so hang in there, Grafton. We are feeling with you. Hopefully you can bounce back next match.
Absolutely, but let's not take anything away from Jordan. He did everything he had to do. He got the Garbodor set up every single game very effectively and quickly. The Yveltals were powered up pretty, nothing really stopping them. They were fully set up, ready to go every single time, and that's what we've been seeing for most of the day, to be honest. Just Yveltal Garbodor doing exactly what it says on the tin, getting lots of energy on the board, getting lots of damage going early, Garbodor shutting off these ability-focused decks, and that's why it's such a strong contender right now.
You know, I'm really curious, Joe. We've seen many Yveltal decks and many Yveltal builds. What I've noticed, rarely the Yveltals are playing Ninja Boy. So when Ninja Boy came out and we saw those Yveltal builds, we are thinking, well, that's a very nice synergy going on here. We could use Fright Night Yveltals and let them deal their shenanigans for the bench and also for the active Pokemon. And when the time is right, we can just use Ninja Boy and have an unexpected Evil Ball come in for a KO on the active one. We haven't seen too many Ninja Boys, have we?
No, it's one of those premium supporter cards where I feel we've had other things fill the role. We've had Olympia just for switching rather than needing the Ninja Boy. I think just because the Yveltal EX uses Y-Cyclone so often anyway, that Ninja Boy doesn't quite fit this style. There were earlier styles with the Yveltal deck where it would play maybe even an Umbreon EX tech, but that was when we were in a much more heavy Mega format, so I can see why Ninja Boy's not creeping into lists right now, because there are other premium supporters you want to play. On turns where we saw Jordan, when he didn't need to draw cards with things like Professor Sycamore, he'd rather be Lysandering the target that he wants. He wants the Pokemon Center Lady to heal, make it more awkward. So although Ninja Boy has a brilliant effect, there are other supporters that do brilliant effects as well that always fit those specific moments.
And also I think we found the answer to what our players thinking is the best Greninja build out there. We've seen so many Talonflame Greninja builds out there. What is your take on playing Talonflame and versus not playing Talonflame and Greninja?
It's a really interesting debate. I think it's a player preference debate. A lot of people will always say Talonflame because that's how it did well at Worlds, of course. Talonflame helps out against Vileplume box so that you can search out the cards that you need even though you're under item lock. So there are a few reasons why you'd want to play Talonflame. However, there are other really cool options as well. The Jirachi promo is brilliant at slowing down people. I'm sure Grafton could have used Jirachi promo at some points during those games because there were double colorless energies floating around. So the splash energies help mitigate the fact that your Greninjas get knocked out early if you're not playing the Talonflame build. There's debates on both sides, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really tough to see. I mean, he was really struggling with active Yveltal EX that were just full of energy.
Yeah.
I mean, once it kept going, it kept KOing, and I think after 4 KOs or so, he was able to finally Moonlight Slash for the KO on the Yveltal EX, but guess what? There's another one just waiting to take its place. So I think it's a very tough one in this case. Maybe Jirachi in this matchup would have been a very nice, well, something to buy time. But, well, after the match, after watching the match, you're always a little bit smarter.
Absolutely. But someone who is very smart is going to be Jordan. He's now at 6-1, and we'll be chatting to him in the post-match interview. Come back very soon.
Welcome back to the winners interview. Here with me is Jordan. Congratulations, Jordan. How are you feeling after that win?
I was kind of worried going into that matchup because my only loss before this game was actually Greninja, and I really struggled to get the Garbodor early when I needed to, but it was able to run pretty smoothly in the first and third games at least, and yeah, it worked out how I was hoping to.
I have to ask you again how you're feeling, because I know you have had a very long flight, didn't you? Where are you from?
Yes, I'm from Adelaide, South Australia, so we had to fly 14 hours from Adelaide to Qatar, and then 7 hours from Qatar to London, so it was a total of 21 hours flight time.
That's just amazing. Actually, we got to talk last night,
yes.
So you were pretty fit, so I think you also take the time to look around Europe for the time being, I think. Are you going to stay a little bit longer here in the UK?
Yes, I'm going to stay. We're staying in London actually until Thursday morning when we're flying out, so I've got a few days after the event to do some sightseeing, have a look at London.
That's quite some commitment, right? Coming out of Australia for the very first European Championships.
Yes.
And I think it has paid off for you right now. What do you think about this day currently, and what have been your best matchups so far?
Yeah, it's been really smooth actually. Like, going into it, I wasn't feeling too confident because, as I was talking to you about last night, I still hadn't even chosen which deck I was going to play. But I've had some really good games. I've only actually played 3 different decks so far, is it 7 rounds now?
It's almost 7th round, yeah.
Yeah, so I've played 3 Greninjas, 2 Rainbow Roads, and 2 Mirror matches. So none of those are really terrible matchups, so I've had a pretty smooth run so far.
What do you think about the Yveltal Mirror match? I mean, Yveltal is everywhere out there.
Yes, it is, and that was one of the main things I was worried about. I knew if I was going to play Yveltal, I had to be good in the mirror. And I've actually been... The first time I played Yveltal at a big event was actually Nationals in 2014, where I played Yveltal, and I got 2nd there in Australia. So I've had a lot of experience with Yveltal over the last 3 years now. I played it at Nationals and Worlds this year as well. So I played a lot of mirror matches, and I feel like it's a pretty skill-based mirror match. You really need to know what you're doing, and there's a lot of cool tech cards you can put into your deck. For example, I've seen a lot of people playing Flare Grunts and stuff like that. I've opted to go with Pokemon Center Lady, as it forces them to potentially have to 3-shot an Yveltal EX.
I think the good thing is we can actually take a look at your deck list, which we are going to do right now in Pokemon Trading Card Game Online, because players out there would love to learn from you, especially when it comes to the mirror match.
Yes.
So there are many different ways of playing Yveltal, and especially as people are looking at how many Yveltal EX are you playing and how many Fright Nights Yveltal are you playing. Are you playing the Oblivion Ring Yveltal? Share us a little bit on your thoughts why you decided to go with 2 Fright Nights and 3 EX.
Right, so going into the event, as I said, I wasn't really sure whether I was actually going to play Yveltal or not, so I really wanted to go with just a really straightforward, consistent build, which I felt could deal with anything. Between Fright Knight and Yveltal EX, you can realistically deal with any deck, except for like Lightning decks, but I kind of fall to those anyway. So the 2-3 split means you've got the 3 Yveltal EX for most of your matchups, like the mirrors and stuff, but the 2 Fright Knight is still there, which allows you to win some of those other matchups like Megas and stuff like that.
So do you think if you're actually facing a Lightning deck, maybe Electro, maybe Raikou, maybe Jolteon EX, do you just think, oh, well, that's a loss I have to calculate? Or do you have a game plan that you think, oh, well, there's still a nice chance?
I do still kind of have a game plan. I mean, I haven't really teched for them so much, but decks, for example, like that Raikou Electrode one, you've got the Garbodor, which stops them from using the Electrodes when they need to, and Yveltal EX can fairly easily one-shot a Raikou. So if you can get Garbodor, chain knockouts on Raikous, and then they're not able to hit enough max elixirs, you can kind of just run them out of energy in play and then just steal prizes where you usually wouldn't be able to.
I've been wondering, I mean, on stream we haven't seen too many Lightning decks, if at all.
Yes.
Have you seen, like, running around the table, have you seen some Lightning decks because people would have to be anticipating Yveltal out there?
Yeah, I have actually seen quite a few Jolteon decks. And Jolteon's a bit interesting because I feel like it's not as bad as a Raikou deck. Because with Jolteon, even though all of the attackers in this deck are basic, so you'd think it'd be pretty bad, but you can bring something up and use Pitch Black Spear to soften it on the bench. And since it's 2 attachments, you can often get a hit off on a Jolteon with an Evil Ball. If you can hit a Jolteon with an Evil Ball for 100, then as soon as they start attacking with Flash Ray, you just need to hit a Lysander and knock it out with the Fright Knight on the bench. And then that's a favorable price trade.
That's it. What do you think about if you're facing a mirror match? Share some thoughts on with you. What kind of cards have you splashed into this deck to make sure that you will win those mirror matches that have to come up today?
Yeah, so the really clutch cards today have actually been the 2 Enhanced Hammers. The Enhanced Hammer has It allows you, when your opponent uses Y-Cyclone, they usually move the DC off of the active so that you deal less damage. But if you then knock off the energy on the bench, hit the active Yveltal, then they have to recommit to the active, and then it's already a damaged Pokemon, so you knock it out the following turn, and they have no energy to back up without elixirs.
Well, that's a good move. We've saw that Enhance Hammer come in some very handy before, but maybe not so much against Greninja, obviously.
Of course.
But okay, and besides Enhance Hammer, what do you think about Pokemon Center Lady? Which kind of matchup are you looking at to really use Pokemon Center Lady to your advantage?
There's actually two. As I said already, it's really good for the mirror match, but I actually put that in thinking it would be really good against Greninja. I didn't really get a chance to use it so much in this game, but in a Greninja match that I faced previously, I had the Parallel City to reduce their damage down to 60, Garbodor to block them from using Giant Water Shuriken, and then every time they attacked, if I was able to Sense Lady, I was able to completely negate their attack for a turn. So I was able to actually get off 3 Sense Ladies in the one game against Greninja earlier, and that was 3 attacks I was able to get off for free. So that's really good against Greninja when you're able to reduce their damage output by so much.
It is, it is. And also thanks for sharing all your insight. I think we can
Not a
put
problem.
the deck list aside. What are you thinking about going forward? A couple of rounds more now, 2 more rounds to go today. What do you think about your matchups coming up now? Have you taken a look at the other players at the top tables?
I've seen a few. There's been a few Yveltals at the top. I think there was a Vespiquen Zebstriker deck, which I'm kind of scared of. So the way I look at it is I've got two rounds to go. I just need 1 win. So as long as I don't pair 2 really bad matchups, I should be able to get the 1 need that I need to.
It's an absolute great story from you, coming over to Australia and then rocking London.
Yes.
I wish you all the best for the next 2 rounds and for your win that you actually need. That's it for now, and we're going to be back after this with round number 8.